And let's create another material here. Jumping back up to the matte context, we're going to create another RS material builder. And here we'll call this the Pyro surface. Because I'm calling it a Pyro surface because it was created using just by meshing a Pyro sim. So let's go over here and turn on the Pyro surface and assign this material to it. So we've got that material here. That's good. And let's jump inside to this Pyro surface. Now, this is also another one of those materials that I made using the old Redshift material. So I'm going to delete the standard material and throw it on an RS material, just an RS material, and wire that into the surface output here. And then let's dial in the settings on this. So scroll up to the top. And I'm going to just draw a little box around here and start a render. And let's just change the diffuse color to be, I'm going to click on this red and kind of push it off into the orange direction a little bit to kind of get things going like that. And then let's close that and let's go down and make the reflection a little bit more rough. I'm just going to crank the roughness up to about somewhere around 50%, let's say 0.5. Just kind of give it that kind of more rough appearance. And then I'm going to go down here to the subsurface section. I'm going to add some transmittance color that is also orange. So we're going to select a red color here and pop it off to the side as well. Oh, whoops. I didn't mean to do that here. This is actually the refraction color. Let's turn that back to white. And I'm going to just crank up the weight of the refraction, but I'm going to unlink this to reflection and increase the roughness of the refraction. So we get this sort of very rough refraction kind of look going on. And then I'm going to go down and spin down this subsurface menu here and then change this transmittance color to a very deep orangish color. So let's just crank that. I usually just select this red color and then kind of pull it off to the side so we get into the more orange realm here. And then what I'm going to do is close this and increase the absorption scale to something like 5. I'm going to actually also increase the scattering scale to 5 as well. And you can really see that we're starting to get a nice subsurface look here. But in my scene, I actually had added some additional lights behind this object, which is why there are actual holes here in this geometry so that I could kind of get lights back there and illuminate this from the back. So let's go throw some lights in behind this object. Just going to stop the render for a second. Let's actually zoom out here. Let's actually turn off this Pyro surface real quick, and I'm going to just give myself a little bit more viewing room here, and we're going to kind of zoom in here. So I want to stuff a couple lights back inside this little gap that I have back here. So let's just create the lights here with the tab menu. I'm just going to tab menu and type RS light, and that's going to create a light at the origin for us. And I'm going to I'm going to grab it. I'm going to go up here to the light tab and change the shape of it to be a disk. Let's just make the disk a size of 0.2. So I'm just putting 0.2 in all those slots right there. And then let's just, I'm just going to move it through space until I get it sort of in the position that I want up here, maybe towards the top. Let's just rotate it a little bit and angle it outward like so. Bring it down. Maybe bring it forward a little bit. And let's just put I'm going to make it so that the Pyro surface is visible again and render this. So that's cool. I'm really starting to see that kind of ominous glow coming out of the inside of that Pyro surface, which is what I'm after. But in my example, I ended up using about 3 lights back here to really kind of blow out these other corners as well. So I'm just going to stop the render, and let's just duplicate this light by Alt-Drag. I'm going to call this, first off, I'm going to call this Goop Backlight. Goop Backlight 1, and then I'm going to hold down the Alt key and drag this down. So I get another one. I can just grab this one and move it over here into this corner. I'm going to maybe push it back just a little ways. Whoops. Get my view back over here. And I'll do this again. I'm just going to hold down the Alt key and drag this down to make a third light. And I'm going to move this one over to the right hand side a little bit like that. Let's just turn off the Pyro surface real quick so I can just see how these lights are positioned, where they are positioned. And I think this one right here is a little bit too far forward. So that's the third one. Let's just bring that back a little bit. And maybe in here like that. I'll just kind of push this back just maybe a little bit more, a little bit deeper in there, like so. And yeah, I think this other one is also too far forward. I don't really want it to be in front of those splines like that. So I'm just going to push that back a little bit. And let's see what this render looks like so far. I'm just going to go over here, turn on the Pyro surface, and let's fire off another render. Now, if I'm looking at this and I want to, it's looking a little bit dark right here, but one thing I did in my main project was a little bit of light linking. So I want to just kind of explore what this looks like if I turn off the poly render and the hair splines as well. We should be able to get that rim light that we have down here shining through that object. I just kind of want to show how much more illuminated this is. So I'm just going to drag this over here, and let's actually, I'm going to switch my layout. So I'm going to hold Alt and click on the burger, and then click on the burger without Alt being held down again. And let's just, I'm going to save this snapshot into my snapshot gallery down here. And then, yeah, so I'm going to turn the hair splines off. I'm going to turn the poly render off. And you can see that we're catching so much more light from that rim light that exists back here. Down, where is it? Down here. This rim light right here is really just creating some great like glows in here and stuff like that. So I want to make it so that this light kind of shines through and doesn't catch shadows from those objects. So the way I can do that is by creating a duplicate of this light, and I'm going to make that light just be linked only to the Pyro surface. So I'm going to just kind of save a snapshot of this to the gallery so we can kind of compare the dark versus light version. And let's try and hit something like this, but also have the rest of the geo turned on. So I'm going to turn back on the poly render and turn back on the hair splines. And I'm going to click away from this snapshot so we're seeing what we see in the view right here. And then I'm going to go find the rim light in our object setup over here. Let's stop the render. And I'm getting this thing where this sometimes happens where it kind of takes over the viewport. I just have to kind of jiggle one of these bars a little bit. Sometimes I have to minimize and then maximize my Houdini window in order to get the interface to come back. But let's go down here and find our rim light. And I'm just going to alt drag this rim light off to the side to kind of, you know, make a copy of it. And in this instance, I want to, if I do decide to move this rim light later, I probably won't, but it's something I do like to do. If I am going to try and move this rim light and I know that I want it to be exactly the same, I want this one to, this rim light right here to follow this rim light, I'll parent it. But before I parent it, I should go up to the transform and make sure that keep position when parenting on is selected, so that once I wire this in, it maintains its current position. So this rim is always going to be linked to the position of this rim, and I'll just name this one rim Pyro surface, like so. And then here, let's go over to the Objects tab and enable Light Mesh Associations. Here, I want to enable the light only for the Pyro mesh. So let's select from our list here only the Pyro surface render right here, like that, and say Accept Pattern. And then here, so now let's see what happens if I fire off this render. It looks pretty much the same because it is actually enabled. The shadows are still enabled for everything, even though we want them. Even though we want to kind of have shadows pass through some of these objects to illuminate our Pyro surface here. So let's disable shadows for, say, the hair splines. So I'm just going to pick from this list here and disable shadows for the hair spline. So I'm going to shift select everything and control click on hair splines and say Accept Pattern. And there you can see that this edge is getting much more illumination. And then maybe what I'll also do is just disable it for the poly render as well, and then hit accept pattern. And you can see that this this Pyro surface is getting much more illumination now from this extra rim light that we've created here.